How's it going, guys? This is the American Foot Channel, and now we know where the World Cup final is going to be played, and we know where the opening game is going to be played, and we know for the most part where most matches are going to be played, or where all are going to be played. We don't know who's going to play in them, except for the U.S., Mexico, and Canada games, but we got a lot of valuable information. But anyways, guys, before we even start, don't forget to hit the like button. Hit that thing right there, like button, wherever it's at. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm actually going to give you a quick second to do that. All right, go ahead, subscribe. Don't forget to do it. But anyways, guys, let's get started. So now we know that the groups are going to consist of 4 teams. Now we know that officially, which I think is great, even though it went from 32 to 48 teams, which I was not a big fan of before, and I'm still kind of on the fence about. But I like that they kept the 4 teams in each group. Now it's 12 groups, but the only difference now is that there is actually going to be 8 of the 12 third places are going to go through. So essentially, almost everyone that's in the tournament is going to advance to the next round, because it's going to be a round of 32, which is kind of bizarre. But, you know, honestly, when I look at it now, I guess it's not the worst thing. You might get some games that'll be duds, but guys, honestly, like, this is probably going to be the biggest World Cup ever, not just in terms of teams, but of revenue, of everything, you know, attendances. You know, if there's a game like, I don't know, like a Zambia versus, I don't know, Iraq or something, it's going to be a lot of people in the stadium watching that game. There's a lot of people from those countries in this country. You know, we're a melting pot here in the United States, and there's going to be people traveling too. But it's going to be probably the biggest World Cup of all time, guys. It's going to be huge. It's crazy. 48 teams. It's insane. You know, the round after the group stage is a round of 32. That's insane. That's a lot. That's a lot of football. You know, honestly, like at first, like I said, I was on the fence about it, but I don't mind it. I like it now. But yeah, I mean, we know where everyone's going to, or not everyone, but we know where all the games are going to be held at, you know, on one date. So we know where the U.S. men's national team is going to play, which is a pretty big deal. And I'm pretty happy with it, because they're going to play 2 games in Los Angeles and L.A. I live in California, so it's going to be a little easier for me to get there, because I can literally just drive there. It's about a 5.5-hour drive for me, so that's better than having to fly to like Boston or New York, or I thought they were going to play in Kansas City, so I don't have to go to Kansas City. So, but getting tickets to that's going to be the other thing. But anyways, it's a little closer to me, and they're actually playing in between those 2 LA games. The U.S. men's national team is actually playing in Seattle at the what is it called, Lumen Field now Stadium. I don't think they're going to call it that during the tournament, but they're going to play in Seattle as well, which that's a good move. I like the U.S. men's national team Seattle personally. You know, not a big fan of Seattle, but I see like the support that U.S. soccer has there. I see that the attendances are pretty good. There's a pretty big history of football there, of soccer. So that's a pretty good move there. And LA, I mean, LA, you know, the U.S. men's national team played there last time in '94. To me, it kind of would have made more sense, because there's 3 seeds here in the West Coast, or there's 4 with Vancouver, which is in Canada, but the U.S. isn't really going to play in Canada. But out of the American ones, you know, there's L.A., Seattle, where they're playing, and then there's San Francisco, which is actually the Bay Area, which is actually Santa Clara. San Francisco is about a 45-minute drive from there, so don't be fooled. The stadium is not in San Francisco, guys. It is 45-minute drive on the train, about the same time. But anyways, I would have liked for them to play in each of those 3, but they're going to play twice in LA, but that's fine. That's better than having to go all the way to the East Coast. But anyways, guys, so that's the opening game for the U.S. men's national team is going to be in Los Angeles, so that's pretty interesting. And then the opening game of the tournament is going to be in Mexico at the Estadio Azteca, where obviously Mexico is going to play. They're going to play twice there, and they're going to play in Estadio Jalisco once. So that's pretty fascinating. At first, I was kind of on the fence of Mexico getting the opening game, because I'm like, hey, you guys are just kind of like piggybacking off of this U.S. bid. But, you know, Estadio Azteca, honestly, lots of history there. By far the most historic stadium in this whole tournament, by far. More than all the other Mexican ones, which is just 2. The Monterrey, which is a pretty new stadium, beautiful stadium, and the Jalisco, which I think Mexico should have played in the Monterrey Stadium rather than Jalisco, in my opinion. But, you know, it is what it is. And then Canada, they're going to play 2 games in Toronto, and then they're going to play 1 game in Vancouver. So that's pretty interesting too. It's going to be interesting to see the Canada game. I might try to make my way out to Vancouver. That's not too far from me. at least on plane. If I was to drive there, it would take me forever. But yeah, guys, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. You know, LA is going to get a total of 8 matches. They're going to get a quarterfinal. So that's a lot. You know, the final, going to the final, everyone thought it was going to be in Dallas, and it seemed like it was going to be in Dallas, which is actually Arlington. It's a place outside of Dallas, not actually Dallas. But they don't get it. They get a semifinal, and they actually get 9 matches. They get the most matches out of any place in this in this tournament. You know, they get the most 9 matches. That's a lot. But they don't get the final. The final actually goes to New York, New Jersey. It's actually New Jersey at the MetLife Stadium. They got 8 games, but the final will be played there. Honestly, guys, that's probably the best choice. No offense to Dallas, to Texas, but that was not going to be a good seed for the final. I just can't see that being better than New York. New York, in a way, is kind of like, I don't mean to sound like overly patriotic or ignorant American, but it's kind of the capital of the world, if I'm honest. You know, there's people from all kinds of places there. You know, you walk down Manhattan, you walk down anywhere in New York, you hear a bunch of different languages and accents and stuff walking down. So it's kind of the capital of the world in a way. Probably maybe the most important city in the world. Once again, I'm not trying to be an ignorant, you know, stubborn American, but that's basically the case. So it's a good choice. And I know in terms of you know, the time zone, you know, they play a game there, let's say like it starts at 5 or 6 p.m. or something, you know, it's still going to be very late in like Europe and Asia, but the time zone works a little better than here in the West Coast. You know, I would have preferred the final to be in LA, but I know Stan Kroenke and whatever he wanted, they weren't giving it to him, so the final wasn't going to happen there. But I think New York is a good choice. Even though the stadium is in New Jersey and it's way the heck out there, it's still more accessible than in Dallas, because from what I see, you have pretty much, if you're not driving, it's going to be pretty hard to get around. I'm sure they're going to figure something out, you know, some buses, some shuttles for the tournament. But yeah, guys, the finals are going to be there in New York, so I think that's an interesting choice. I think it's a good choice. Like I said, I think out of all the cities in this tournament, I think that's the best choice. It really is. And then the third place game is in Miami, which I'm sure give it to Miami, whatever. I would prefer to be in LA, but oh well, Miami gets it. It's not really that big of a deal. But that final, after all this time of speculation, people saying it was going to be in Dallas. You know, I was not happy with the Dallas choice. I get their stadium's huge and it's got a roof and it's probably like AC and everything, but just like out there, Arlington, not even in the Dallas City Center. Nah, I don't know about that. So yeah, I for sure think that New York was the best choice. But yeah, guys, I mean, we just have a bunch of games. You know, there's gonna be matches all over North America, really, not just in the U.S. It's, you know, it's gonna span from Mexico City all the way to Toronto. Like, it's kind of a shame Canada only got two host cities. It would have been cool if, like, Montreal or something got it, because Montreal is a pretty different city than the other two. They're mainly like French speaking. It's an interesting province, you know, so it's a shame they didn't get it. But, you know, for the most part, like, major cities here have it. I'm glad that the Bay Area gets 6 games. I'm gonna do my absolute best to go to all of them. I don't know how that's gonna happen. I don't know how tickets are gonna work. I'm sure they're gonna be similar to how it usually is during the World Cup. But yeah, guys, I mean, let me know down in the comments what you think. If you're happy with where the finals being played, if you're happy where the U.S. men's national team is playing, if you think your city got snubbed on whether it's quarterfinals or group games or the amount of games or where U.S. men's national team is going to play, let me know. Interesting stuff. But anyways, I just want to make this little video to talk about it, guys. Like I said, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. And y'all have a good one.